Welcome to the Campfire. This week we're taking a deep dive into 14-6A. The teams in this district: Aldine, Benjamin Davis, Eisenhower, MacArthur, Nimitz, Spring, Decaney, and Westfield. Now let's analyze this district in our Randall's Film Session. 14-6A has not changed after realignment, and there is a high probability that the four teams that made the playoffs last year won't change either. Spring Westfield lost a lot of offense when Taji Atkins graduated, but we know the Mustangs don't rebuild, they reload. Look for quarterback Miles Dent and receiver Emmanuel Yancey to play bigger roles this fall. Decaney finished second last year and should be Westfield's main hurdle to a district crown again. It has the two best offensive players in the district, with athlete Nick Townsend and receiver Tanook Hines. The Wildcats have an experienced young defensive unit led by defensive tackle Nehemiah Allen and quarterback Demetria Taylor. Spring was a playoff team a year ago, and first-team All-District quarterback Aron Ogbor will hope to lead them back to the postseason. One team to definitely keep an eye on is Aldine Nimitz. The Cougars, young and talented. Albert Brown was the newcomer of the year at quarterback. Receiver Keelan Washorn was the offensive MVP with 61 catches and 12 touchdowns. Tremaine Gray is a budding star at linebacker for Benjamin Davis. Eisenhower and MacArthur will look to fill some holes left by graduation, and Aldine is simply looking for more offense as it only scored 13 total points a season ago.
The Film Session is brought to you by Randall's. Find these great items on the Chevrolet Inside High School Sports End Cap and take your shopping game to the next level. Chevrolet Inside High School Sports is brought to you by the Houston area Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
For an even deeper look at 14-6A, here's producer Ward Fasold and the Houston Chronicle's John Poorman with a district breakdown.
District breakdown time. We are moved on to 14-6A, which is the Spring and Aldine teams. My man John Poorman's joined us from the Houston Chronicle. Man, I feel like when we talk about this district, we always talk about the same teams at the top, especially Westfield and Decaney. They're still going to be at the top, but they got some players to that have graduated. They got to fill their spots. Talk to me about who Westfield may have returning and who they may look to make some big plays for them in 2024.
Yeah, Westfield just continues to rule the roost when it comes to this district. I mean, just year in and year out, the Mustangs, led by Coach Matt Meekins, are just, pretty much, it seems like at this point, they're pretty much a shoo-in for, not only a district title, but to go at least a few rounds deep in the playoffs. They haven't quite been able to get over that Duncanville hurdle in Region 2, but, not many teams can. So yeah, I mean, they've got to be the favorite coming back into the 2024 season. Decaney should be right there with them, I think. It's going to be interesting to see that matchup. Those two teams, those two Spring ISD rivals going at it. I definitely think that Decaney, has a shot to, not only, perhaps give Westfield a run in this district, but certainly make some noise in the playoffs as well.
John, I appreciate you joining us, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
We'll post that entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now let's take a look at some game changers in our Players on the Rise, presented by Parker University. Decaney's Nick Townsend is one of the more elite 2A players in 6A. He's built like a tight end, but runs like a receiver. Last season, he caught 18 balls for 431 yards and 7 touchdowns, as he was a go-to target for the Wildcats in the end zone. He also plays on the edge on the Decaney defense, where he tallied 76 tackles and 8 sacks. Townsend should put up some serious numbers as a senior. He has offers from Texas, Alabama, USC, among many others. Townsend's partner on offense for Decaney is wideout Tanuk Hines. He's a talented receiver, thrives in those one-on-one battles for the football. Tanuk has good speed, has 85 catches for 1,300 yards and 12 scores over the past 2 seasons. Nunu, as he's called, is a smooth operator on the field and managed to put up good numbers last year despite playing through injuries. He's considering Notre Dame, Baylor, USC, and other big programs. On defense, Aldine Nimitz linebacker Javar Thomas is one to keep an eye on. He simply lays the wood when making tackles, making sure that ball carrier knows he's been hit. Javar usually is on the edge for the Cougars defense, where he can read a play quickly and then attack. Very rarely will Thomas make the wrong read, as he's always in on the big stops. Javar leaning towards Baylor, but also has offers from Texas and Washington, among others. At Spring, defensive end Floyd Guidry is determined to play on Sundays. And by looking at his high school tape, who would doubt him? The 6'2", 290-pounder had 47 tackles, 26 for loss, which means when Big Floyd makes a play, the offense is usually going backwards. Guidry also tallied 6 sacks a year ago. The overpowering big man has committed to play at TCU.
Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Do you or your student want a career training the world's best athletes? Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
Our Ward Fasold catching up with Spring head coach Antonio Singleton to talk about his Lions in our Media Day segment.
All right, it's Media Day. We are talking with Spring head coach Antonio Singleton, and we are talking 14-6A. It's one of the couple districts in 6A that didn't have much change in realignment. And when I say much change, I mean no change. It's the same. It's your same squads. It's the same beast that you look at the top of the districts, and some of these Aldine teams are coming up on the bottom end. Talk to me about how you situate the offseason to get ready for teams that you're going to face, and now that you're pretty familiar with, because you know what they're going to bring each day to the table.
Well, pretty much what I do is self-evaluation after the season ends. Me and my staff go through and review all our game films from the previous year and kind of figure out our strengths and weaknesses of our program. And then we go off-season around getting those things built up to be a more balanced football program overall.
Well, that's interesting. Since you brought it up, we'll talk about it. What are some of the strengths of the Lions team going into the fall in 3 more months? What do you feel is your strengths of your team?
I believe experience. I brought a few guys back. We got about 15 lettermen back. Of those 15, 8 started last year. So they have regular season, district, and playoff experience. I have some experience on both sides of the line, offense and defense. So I'm excited to see how those guys develop. We had a pretty good spring workout. Had a good, really competitive spring game. So we're going in the right direction. But of course, that's just a practice and just a game. So you don't know everything till you go against somebody you don't know or you don't see every day. So I'm excited to see how that pans out for us.
That's awesome. Perfect, man. Yeah, it's nothing better than playing the best, like you said. Got that Ric Flair mentality, right?
Yes,
Knock
sir.
them off if you can. All right, Coach, I appreciate you joining us, man. We look forward to seeing your team later this fall.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And you can watch that entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we're analyzing 15-6A. Until then, have a great week, everybody.